book, there's an ethics book, and then there's some study guides on there as well. Please make sure you're able to access Bookshelf, and you will need to show use of the core book in your assessment. It's really important that you're showing that you've used that. All right, peer reviewed. We talked about peer reviewing a couple of times this morning. Peer reviewing is a bit like you having your work marked. You write up your research or your article or whatever it is, you send it into the journal. The journal then sends it back out to 2, sometimes 3 experts in that field. Now the work is sent out anonymously so that
this is not working.
So that they can try and reduce some of the biases. So work goes in, it's sent out to the peer reviewers who theoretically don't know who's written it. However, in quite small niche areas, they probably do know who it is. The reviewers will read the research, they will make comments on it, and they'll send it back to the publisher saying, well, it's okay, but I'm not sure about the way that they wrote this up, it needs dealing with. It goes back out to the writer, who deals with those issues or not, and sends it back to the publisher. This can happen a couple of times before a version is agreed and published. So that's peer reviewing. They have to be experts in the field so that they can adequately assess if the article is correct or not. Doesn't always work correctly, but generally speaking, it is a process that can have some impact. Depending on your article, sometimes you can see when it was submitted, when it was reviewed, when it was published. Sometimes, depending on the article, you can actually see the comments between people. You know, what was picked up, what the author says in return, and it's quite interesting to see the sorts of things they pick up on. So we've got scholarly sources, peer-reviewed sources, credible sources. Now you have, I think we have most of those actually. So a source that can be trusted to contain accurate information and is supported by some sort of evidence or can be verified from other sources. That's the key thing. And David was saying earlier on about the law departments and the newspapers. We didn't mention podcasts. I listened to quite a few podcasts. One of them, which is quite funny, is Private Eye.
What?
Private Eye.
Private Eye.
You not heard of Private Eye?
It's a podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's a magazine.
Ah.
Yeah, the Private Eye magazine primarily, but they have a podcast as well. And Ian Hislop was on there talking about their editorial process because they say some quite unpleasant things about some very important people sometimes. So they are very, very, very careful to make sure that they can back up any statement they make, that they have the evidence, they can prove it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So their editorial process is very, very good. Other newspapers might not be so bothered. I tend to read The Guardian, of course. I'm a middle-aged, middle-class academic. Of course, I read The Guardian. In there, they will often put links to other sources. So if they have an article about a piece of research, they'll put a link to the research in that article. And so rather than just looking at the article, reading what they say, you can go to the research and read what that says. Because the headline is often written by somebody different. It's written to be eye-catching. Eye-catching and true isn't necessarily, So you need to look at the original research quite often. So we've got newspapers, magazines we talked about. Depends on the magazine to a certain extent. I think trade magazines are better. Books, journals, publications, government websites, depending on the government. Websites from educational institutions, depending on the educational institution. And websites from reputable organisations. Again, there's some, I wouldn't say that information from the Flat Earth Society website is necessarily very good. All right, so in groups or individually, think about what is it that you are, what's your qualification, project management or whatever you're doing. Think about that and then think about what are key sources that are relevant for that area of study and try and get at least one scholarly source, at least one peer-reviewed source, at least one credible source, and make them specific. So not just a peer-reviewed journal. Tell me which journal. Okay? So you can do it individually or in groups. And whilst you do that, I'm just going to nip the loo.
Okay, I'm ready.
So we said we can put one of the books we have in the one that we said the bookshelf.
The recent one. This one.
Yeah.
You mean the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was the option.
Yeah.
Journals and okay. Go back. Here we go to the previous one. Next time. Application data is going to same. Yeah. So
The one that we searched.
Books, maybe, no?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned, but I'm trying to.
Kotler and Keller, Lemon. Kotler and Keller, you remember?
Cotterell, yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to find it. To get.
okay, so have to choose from all these things.
One moment. To choose.
Peer review.
And
There's the Good Research Guide from Martin Gen's Code,
Journals.
for instance, or Research Ethics. Research Ethics.
And in the library, what
Yeah.
books exactly? Who is the writer of this book?
Gary Comstock.
Gary Comstock. Wow.
There are so many to organize.
Com as com and stock as stock.
Comstock.
Yeah.
He's American, maybe, no? Because all writers there is American.
It's Cambridge, so.
Cambridge.
So yeah, this one. So you can use the book. Some journal. From internet, we can use the research grid.
Yes, I'm looking. But they say it's three types of articles: conceptual, empirical, and professional. It's three different. And the last one, professional, is, for example, let me check. But he has about another books, Mackenzie and Companies. Okay, this is practicing this. It's a report, professional report. McKinsey and Company 2022, Digital Marketing 2023, HubSpot Blog Marketing, Benchmark,
As well. He was using a lot. Yeah.
Conceptual. The academic is conceptual.
Because the peer review, that's the research gate. The articles, you know, from PhD and educational professional. I think it's researchgate.net.
Yeah, credit is because it's like they use newspaper, they use some
Let me check.
they use the
Review
depends on
with
the page.
scholarly.
Because if it's something academic, yeah, right.
Ah,
Just thinking about it.
I think when it comes to the articles, I think we're gonna all have different ones because we're probably gonna write about different things.
I need to reflect my discipline with three categories. But it's according of these three categories, no?
Yeah.
No, because I look on internet and I find three different categories. Conceptual articles, empirical articles, and professional articles.
Okay, so there's going to be some overlap. I would
Too
say
in-depth.
empirical is going
This is
to,
empirical.
a lot of it will be empirical, yeah, because it'll be based on data, which is being
And the
analysed.
conceptual,
Conceptual,
is per review, maybe, no?
it could be in either this one or this one. It's simply
Okay.
a different way of looking at things.
And professional is
Is
scholarly, no? So
well, professional should really be in any of them because we can say that credible would be things like
yeah.
work journals.
Okay.
So it's a different way of looking at things. There'll be some overlap, but some differences.
Okay. I try to link these ideas with this, but Paula, come on. You don't drink coffee today?
That's a bad move.
I need coffee every day in the morning.
Oh, at regular intervals.
I know. It's
If I don't have coffee, I have a migraine.
you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And you need if you drink or if you don't?
Don't.
Ah, okay.
I am chemically dependent on caffeine.
But a strong coffee or a strong?
Yeah.
I can.
Filter ground coffee.
No, soft coffee.
Yeah, I've got capsules.
Yeah.
I'll make it in the morning. But not too often.
Well, at home I've got a bean cup.
How many cups per day?
4.
Wow.
No. It's too much.
I used to drink 6 when I work in the pubs. We have coffee for free, so sometimes I was so tired I had 6. But I've built
because
up a
you need
caffeine
energy.
intolerance, so I can't drink much coffee now. God.
Double espresso.
Anybody got items from all 3 categories?
Yeah.
1 or 2, yeah? Okay, hold on. Let me get my pen ready. Right, scholarly.
Yeah, I've done the international marketing book that I've got on it.
Oh, very good. International marketing book.
Yeah.
And that's on the bookshelf.
But what book?
She said international
What?
marketing.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
what it's called, isn't it?
general.
Yeah, it's called International Marketing in Times of Sustainability and Digitalization.
Cool.
Marvellous. And that's on bookshelf.
Yeah.
So you can be pretty sure that if we put a book on the bookshelf, it's good. Right, so that's one scholarly, one credible source.
The Economist online.
Find.
Yeah. Economist.
Yeah, I have to check on that.
Online, yeah. And one peer reviewed.
So the Marketing Myopia Harvard Business Review, that was reading the article.
Harvard Business Review, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's about marketing myopia.
Marketing myopia.
Yeah.
Okay. Team. Myopia. Like that?
Yeah.
Marvellous. Okay.
Good
so
article. This is very good article.
Yeah.
No, I
Very
read.
good article.
Yeah. It's talking about the how the, but it's different examples. The oil, the Hollywood industry,
Right?
how the writer started this article in 1960.
Okay.
No, and he predicted what happened today with the change of the oil to electric cars.
Oh,
Based on the
interesting.
technology.
The technology change. Yeah.
Right. Which group are we in? We're in the other group. But one of the things we talk about
Something
in
like
the
that.
management group I do
I read them.
is the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's very much part of it, isn't it? Really, fourth industrial revolution. I have an all-electric car. It's fabulous.
Wow.
The question is where we can charge.
Outside the house.
Okay.
The best thing it does, particularly when the weather's cold, I can be sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee, pre-warm the car. It's all defrosted, the seat is warm, and the steering wheel is warm. Luxury, definitely. Right, row in front of you, Daniela, Mamuna, and so I can't see your name. Amina. One scholarly.
So,
No? Okay. One credible.
I can give a story more.
Okay.
Global marketing.
Hmm?
It's a book, Global Marketing.
Global marketing.
That book gave me 9 minutes. So,
Okay.
9 minutes. I had to read it twice to remember for a coursework. 2 days or so.
Global marketing. So my top tip on bookshelf is some books you can get it to read to you. Yeah. So make use of that feature. So when you're on the tube or the train or the bus or whatever, you can be listening to it. All right, let's come forward to you guys. So Angie, Akash, Ecclesia, and Samojit. A scholarly source.
Like the International Journal of Project Management.
Oh yes, we like that. International Journal Project Management.
Hey, no one said Rachel said Manchester was a student.
Easy start, isn't it?
Yeah.
There it is, right in front of you. Credible source.
Newspaper.
Too vague. Which newspaper?
Guardian.
The Guardian.
For us, left-leaning, tofu-eating, wokerati, that was it, Guardian. Yeah, Guardian's It has its biases, of course. It is left-leaning. If I wanted a right-leaning broadsheet, what might I choose? Financial Times, yeah.
Whispering, but she heard you.
What about the Independent?
Yeah.
This one is linked to. Is the lefty too?
Yeah. Here, Times, Telegraph.
Telegraph is good.
Although, of course, the Telegraph's up for sale still. So, depending on who buys the Telegraph, it's going to be way over. Way over. And a peer-reviewed journal.
Annual report. Annual report.
No, it's too general. Depend what.
Too general. I'm just thinking now, annual reports only if they were
Government.
yes, government, or if they've been audited. So audited accounts I'd take. Otherwise, it's what the company says about itself. And actually, that's an important point to make. Sometimes when
Publishers, maybe? No?
too vague.
I found one.
Okay.
It's the National Institute of Health, so NIH.
Oh yes.
.gov. And it's about the influence of gender and age on the outcome and adherence.
I like
There's a
NIH.
lot.
Yes. I'm from a health background, so this for me isn't important. Okay, front row. We're running out of space, but a scholarly source.
International Journal of Advertising.
Good. Now you see you're picking up on this. So advertising. Okay. Credible.
It's from Meetle, and it's on 2025 omni-channel marketing trends.
Oh, that sounds like it might fit in here too. So marketing trends, that would fit well, wouldn't it? Okay. Yeah, I think we've got that. So I'll get rid of that. So let's go back to where we were. Good. Right, so we looked at things from all three categories. Right, so what we're going to be thinking about now is a literature reviews. I've said that your second piece of work is a proposal. So within the proposal, you're going to be talking about how you will carry out your research. But one of the things that you need to establish is that there is a need for that research to be carried out, that you are filling a gap of some sort. Research shouldn't just be for the sake of it. There should be a reason, there should be a need for that research. And one of the ways in which we can do that is through a literature review. And what that means is that you're going to be looking at what the current state is on this thing. What do we know about this thing already? So that's kind of where the literature review sits. So if we think about it in terms of a process, and this is an image we will come to a few times, because over the next 10 weeks or so, we're going to be working our way down this almost. At the moment, you're all the way up here. You're just starting to think, well, what is it I'm interested in? What do I know about this thing I'm interested in? What do I think I know about this thing I'm interested in? Am I right? Or maybe there's another view, there's another way of looking at this thing. And remember, we are automatically drawn to things that we agree with. So you have to be aware of that, and you have to think about it when you're starting this process. So we're thinking about where we are. The next step is to try and check, well, are you right or not? Is what you think is true actually true? And the best way you can do that is to start to read academic literature, academic journals around this topic widely from credible, scholarly, peer-reviewed sources. From there, you can start to think, well, this thing I thought was interesting. Actually, loads of people know about this thing already. So, what can I add? What's different? How can I do something that makes this thing seem different, confirm this thing, challenge this thing, whatever it is? And then that's where your research question will come into play. For example, does smoking give you cancer?
Can be.
Maybe.
Yes. Not everybody who smokes will get cancer, but the leading cause of lung cancer is smoking. We know that. So actually an interesting question is, we know that, but people still smoke. Why?
Stress.
That's one answer.
University.
Absolutely. That's really interesting you say that. A researcher whose name, oh dear, I'm having real word finding problems today, whose name will come to me later. This woman was really interested in why, and she focused very much on low-income women. She was really interested in why low-income women spent money on cigarettes. It's relatively expensive. You're on a low income, they had children. Why did they smoke? And stress was one of the key factors. And having a minute to themselves.
Yeah.
Having that, the rest of the world it's just me enjoying this. So that's really interesting that, that's what she found. And that research is a little bit older. So you could say, well, okay, we know that. Stress, okay. So let's think about vaping now. So you're kind of moving along, investigating. It's a bit like detective work. Just kind of having a poke about the data, seeing where things are.
It can also be trend.
Yeah.
Because, it is stress and there's a lot of factors, but thinking about vaping now, I think it's more about being,
Social pressure.
Yeah, it's a
social pressures. Now that's a whole other question. Is social media influencers?
Yes.
Right, when did that start to be a
Whatever
thing?
the question
Why is that a job? Why is that a job description? So what impact do social media influencers have on things like vaping? Because that really, when I first started to notice it being a thing, that's where it was coming from. The social media influencers being paid to advertise this thing. So that's really interesting. That those social pressures, the peer pressures, and people who've never smoked are vaping.
Yeah.
Whereas really vaping was about people who smoked, not smoking, but having that nicotine craving met through vaping and then easing off. Yeah.
So I started smoking, vaping, and then I was like, that's not for me, so I just, have a cigarette. Yeah.
Right, and that's really interesting, isn't it? Because that's what's happening. And so, yeah.
And now it's costing.
Yes! It's expensive. Anyway, that's where we start to think about what is our question. What is the influence? What are the trends? How did social media? So you can start to think about your question. From there, if you've got a question, how are you going to get the information you need to answer that question? What are you going to do? Now, as students in a smallish in terms of research university, we don't have labs. We don't have a big medical facility. But that doesn't mean that you can't do some limited primary research if that suits what you want to do. So if Tony with an I is interested in, you know, how many people go from vaping to smoking. I mean, you could literally ask people, couldn't you? You could do that. You could do a small-scale qualitative piece of research. That's perfectly ethical. So small scale, small interviews, all of that kind of stuff, you can do. However, it can be quite difficult to get to talk to people unless you've got a route to talk to people. So a lot of you will choose to do secondary research, and that's fine as well. But at this point, you can start to think, well, what data do I need to address this question? Can I collect it? Or actually, is it already there somewhere? And I need to find it, look at it, reorder it, use it in a different way. Making sense of the data, and then your proposal is going to finish here, really. Oh, gosh, how should I do that? Right, so your proposal is going to finish on, this is my question, this is how I will collect my data. This is how I will analyse my data. Because you haven't got the data, you can't analyse it. And then when you do your dissertation, you're kind of coming back here but making it more formal and going all the way down to here for your 9,000 words.
Oh, God.
So the more you do now, the more reading, the more collected journals, the more thinking, the more planning you do now will make it easier then.
You need to start now.
I taught this module last term. One of the students emailed me last week and said, right, I need to get cracking on this. What shall I do next? So I've told her to start collecting journals, start reading, start that bit. Because it's a lot of work. Because remember, you have another module at the same time. Yeah? So you will have to, if you do full-time, you'll have another module at the same time. Any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
So, in essence, yeah, what you just said is that you've come up with an idea or a question in your head.
Yeah.
You've gone away, done the reading.
Yeah.
Your idea might change.
Yeah.
Because you might find something deeper.
Absolutely.
And then you're saying, okay, this is what I'm now trying to find out about what I've read.
Yeah.
Okay.
How am I going to find it out? The how is the really important thing. Yeah. And this is where we're going to start talking about your methodology, your methods, and the ways in which you'll be analysing the materials. We've sort of covered this already. Why do we need a literature review? Well, to show the existing knowledge, to help show the gap, to help shape ideas, provide evidence about that gap. So it's really there to show that you have fully investigated the area before deciding, right, this is what I'm going to do because it's not been done already. Or I'm going to do it in a different way. Or I'm going to confirm what they found before because I think it's a bit weird. So the link to project management, and here, the other one you have. Reliable, credible, APM Body of Knowledge, 7th edition, published by the Association for Project Management. So that would be another possible source for you. Projects, transient, bring about change. And that's the other thing, research should be meaningful in some way. Now, your research is going to be small. You're not going to cure cancer, change the world, but it should be meaningful in some way. So thinking about literature as a project that's been carried out, that's been planned, that's found something, you need to think about that as well. All right, literature reviews generally, I've said for your proposal literature review, you need to have a minimum of 3 peer-reviewed journal articles. When you write your dissertation, your literature review will be bigger It'll be a new piece of work. When you write it, there will be new literature, new publications, other information. So it'll be a new piece of work. But it will be bigger, so it will include more research, more sources.
It's possible 2024, 2025? The articles.
Yes. So, good point. For the literature review for your proposal, articles can be, depending on your topic, could be up to 5-10 years old. If your topic is anything AI related, it's going to be newer, isn't it? If it's IT, it's probably going to be newer. But if it's management skills, if it's project management, it could be up to 10 years old for the proposal. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for making that. So it gives you a bit more flexibility for that section. You might have non-referred journals, professional publications we've talked about, books, e-books, newspapers, conference papers. If you go to a conference, people will present papers. Those papers can be a good source of information. Sometimes they're also peer-reviewed, sometimes they're not. Reports, we talked about reports from organisations. They can be a source of information. Now, this bottom one, theses. People's theses will be published. They can be used, but with some of these things you have to use them with caution. We talked about the hierarchy earlier on. So if you've got a peer-reviewed journal which is in conflict with something a newspaper says, who's more important? The journal, absolutely. And so you can't state something from a newspaper with the confidence that you would from a peer-reviewed journal article. And if you state a fact from a newspaper or a report, you have to recognise the biases that are inherent in that. This newspaper article says, however, it should be considered that it's not peer-reviewed, whatever it is. So the same with all of these, really. These are what we call grey literature. They're not peer-reviewed, but they have a certain amount of weight, so long as you are balancing that weight against the peer-reviewed. Everything goes in the top. You read, 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 and then read a bit more. Save it in RefWorks. Keep some sort of note of what you're reading. If you're organised, maybe a record card. You know, authors, title, brief summary, what did they do? You can use RefWorks for that sort
Especially
of thing.
keywords.
Yeah. And then that can help you to organise your thoughts. So read all of that and then filter out what is the most important thing. We've talked about this really. Oh no, actually. All right, so important things. We're starting off with a fairly broad topic. From there, I don't know if it's this morning or this afternoon, I'm going to think about search strategies, how to use keywords, what keywords you should use, Boolean operators, how to filter. So this is a really important part because the internet is just massive and there's so much there that it could be a little bit overwhelming. So if you do plenty of work here, actually it will help to narrow it all down a little bit. So keywords, search terms are really important. Then, as I said, keep a log. Online, record cards, whatever you do, keep a log. and then start to write your literature review quite early so that it can be, well, finished, because it's almost a standalone piece of work. The rest of it will follow on from there. It's important that you're not just describing, you do need to critique it, and that will be partly about thinking what methodology did they use, was it appropriate. If you remember, we talked about the chocolate research last week, didn't we? So you can look at the sampling, how they carried out the research, what did they do, did they pre and post. Anything to do with food is really difficult to do because it's very difficult to get people to only eat what you want them to, only do what you want them to. All right, so we're going to be talking about databases. We've got some examples here. Google Scholar we've looked at, Science Direct, Fame, and IBIS World. What I'll do is I'll show you on the VLE. Now, just before I do that, have you used Bookshelf before? No. So, when you go to the page for this module, your books are here, the bookshelf.
Right.
You can't see them, it's sometimes because the block's hidden. If you're on your phone, there might be a little arrow halfway down which opens this up. So you've got your books here, and that's my actual Study Skills Handbook, Research Methods for Business Students, your Guide to Successful Postgraduate Studying, Good Research Guide, and Research Ethics.
On the right.
Right, so yours has to put up here. Right. So that's because you've just registered. Right. So this is how it will look once you've been populated. The rest of you should all have your books by now.
Yes. I haven't. I have registered.
Right, okay. Yeah, so chase them up if it doesn't come by next week. Right, so if I decide I'm going to look at this one, so this is the core text. If I open this, what do I do now?
Log out and log in again.
Log out and log in again. So this is a standard error message. It's because I logged in first thing, I haven't refreshed anything. So a token expires. So if you get this error message, anybody, then you go back to the page, all the way to the top here, log out, then log back in again. I don't know how long the token lasts. No, sorry, don't speak. If I go back there now, it goes straight in. That's the only thing that's wrong. You've got your read aloud here. So not all books will do it, but some of the books will read aloud for you. And some of them you can download bits and listen on your journeys as well. Alright, so what I was going to show you, okay, so if we come to Learning Resource Centre. Right, Learning Resources. So Learning Resources, and then There's some general information there about using Office, using Bookshelf, using Scholar, how to reference. So there's some short courses you can do there, AI guidance. Then, PowerPoint presentation. So if you're not need to brush up your PowerPoint skills, there's a workshop there. Excel is there. But here we've got business academic databases. There's a guide which will tell you how to search. There's instructions on how to use the online library. Then there's links straight through to a number of business databases. We've got EBSCO, iWorld, Emerald, JSTOR, Sage, Financial Times. Presumably we have premium edition, and then there's a link there to RefWorks, which I talked about earlier on. There's also there's a separate one here. It's for the undergraduates, but it might give you some more ideas on what to do as well. So you've got those resources there that you can use when you're looking for databases. And it's really important that when you are writing up your work, you're not relying on Google Scholar. You're showing that you're able to use a much wider range of databases. Now, nobody's going to check where you actually get stuff from, but you should show me that you're aware of other databases that you can use. All right, so keywords. Think about spelling, think about acronyms, artificial intelligence. You might want to use artificial intelligence, AI. If Americans and English spell things differently, you might want to check both the spellings. You can use a star as a wild card so that it gives you different variations of that word. And it's helpful if you make a note of the keywords you've used so that you can see which work well for you. Okay, so we're just now going to think, I talked about Boolean operators. So let's get to that for a minute. What's the name for that?
Mastercard.
The other one,
The other one, yes.
the chart. No, the other one. No, it's not the chart.
Venn diagram.
Venn diagram. So
I never see the diagram.
we can.
You remember? No. No?
You learned something. Venn diagrams are quite a useful way of showing the and or not principles, and that's what the Boolean operators are about, is that and or not. So, I'm going to give you my favourite example. I like camping. I have a dog. Lots of people who camp have dogs. So, what we'll do is we'll have this circle represents campers, and this circle represents dog owners. Right? So we've got campers, we've got dog owners, and then we've got that overlap. So if I was trying to find campers and dog owners, where would they sit? In the middle. Okay. So here we have campers and dog owners, just that bit. So you can see if you were searching for both, that's quite a lot. But if you want to concentrate on campers and dog owners, it's a much smaller area. So if I wanted, I'll do a different colour this time. If I wanted dog owners not campers, who would like to come and fill in for me?
Sorry, say that again.
Campers, not dog owners.
Is what the biggest part of the dog owners. It's the old dog owners, but they're not campers.
Right, so dog owners not campers is here. So that's not. So we lose that bit. Yeah? Campers not dog owners. Gives you this bit. So not helps you to take things out, and narrows it down. And then if we have campers or dog owners,
Circles will be by itself.
indeed. So let's do green. So, and not or. So you can use those terms to help you either expand or narrow your search. The thing to be aware with Google Scholar is it assumes and. So if you put two terms in, it will assume the and, but when Google Scholar adds an and, it's actually just looking for everything that contains those terms. So it can give you an awful lot of stuff. So if we have an example, okay. I think it's easier to show you rather than tell you off the slide, really, isn't it? Then you can ask questions at the same time. Oh, now the other thing to do is...
There's a scholar thing.
Scholars.
Yeah.
Yes, not very well.
Yeah, what is that for?
It's another database. We'll have a look later. Alright, so. Oh, it's no good. Right, so Google Scholar. It searches for scholarly literature. And so it's already going to filter out a lot of the nonsense that you would find if you just searched on Google. So Google Scholar narrows it down to what Google AI considered is scholarly. So that gives you a head start. Now, last week we linked Google Scholar to our library accounts. Who can remember how to do it?
You got on the side next to my profile.
Not too much.
Those of you who weren't here last week or can't remember.
First we need to register. No?
Sandwich there.
And the left.
The side next to my profile, and then you
Right.
want to scroll out.
Tell him he's going to do it. So if you weren't here last week, make notes. It's really, really useful.
Okay, let's notes.
Right, so hamburger, then settings.
Wait, go back. I don't see it.
Search.
Hamburger, wait a minute, somebody said go back. Hamburger, then settings, then library links. Oh no, you've got to spell it right.
Yeah. Anglia.
Anglia. That's it.
Google Scholar, sandwich.
Settings.
Library
Settings.
settings, then library links.
Done it the last time.
Yeah, but I forget. I forget very quick. 5 minutes after that, I
That's
blank
done.
my brain.
Get social media.
Okay, so we've done that.
Where's
Thank
the
you very much.
hamburger? What's the number?
Oh.
Oh.
After that, what do we need to do?
Setting.
Yeah, setting up.
Library.
Yeah. Many hamburgers.
There, and we are asking, but you tick already.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, search.
And that's it.
Tick, tick,
Hamburger.
save.
A picture of an hamburger.
Tick, tick.
Save?
Save. That's it.
That's
Then
it.
you search and you library, the library.
Hamburger. Settings.
Thank you.
Library links. Type in, tick, save.
But I don't need to sing.
So now,
I sign
what
in
topic
with
shall we
my
have?
account.
business.
I don't know if you have enough.
Marketing. Okay, so marketing.
It's the same.
4.5 million results.
Same.
So, how could we narrow that down?
Be more specific.
Right, so what could we add?
Right, digital marketing.
Right, so we could add. Now, at this point, it doesn't matter if we put it first or second, so let's put digital.
I meant we could put
Ah, now it does matter. It is searching for marketing digital and it's wanting to go to Portuguese. All right, so let's put it in the right place. Digital marketing. All right, so now we're down to nearly 4 million.
oh god.
Still quite a lot. And it is now the other thing it's doing is if you look here, I said it uses and slightly differently. So it's looking for digital marketing, but it's also just looking for marketing. So how it's searching is not necessarily quite what we want. So if we are only interested in digital marketing, what we can do is we can put some quote marks right here. And what that does is it sticks the words together.
Why is better?
See?
If I don't, it's a little bit more.
So we've gone from a massive amount to far less, and it's just picking up digital marketing. It glues those two words together and uses those as the search. So we've gone from, is it 5 million? Doesn't matter, millions. We've gone from millions down to 306,000. Much more manageable. How else might we filter this?
Time.
Time. Right, so
Sorted by time,
we've got
relevance.
sorted by, but also you need research from 2025.
2025, yeah.
You've still got 2,570 things there. That gives you quite a bit to change for. Now, David said something about signing in. You don't have to sign in. This is where you can sign in. Because Google Scholar gives you My Library. So it allows you to create a space here to save things. So what you can do then is you can save. That's when it asks you to sign in. So if you save into your Google account, which I'm not going to, it will then appear here in My Library. So you can go back
Wait. Okay, I need to open my email now. Okay, next. Yes. Sorry.
I know, but you know, we've just got so much information there that you've got to now think about how do you sift through it. You know, the days of going to the library and looking up in the book, I'm afraid are. Yeah. I mean, me too, but yeah, gone. Where are we? Okay, time is nearly up, so let's just do. All right, so. What you have, which you didn't have before, is full text at ARU. So that means if you want that, you click that. It takes you through to the library.
Again.
Honestly, I wasn't looking. Takes you through to the library.
So this article, we have it here in our unit, in the library,
Well, in the virtual library.
in the virtual, right?
Yeah.
And Google Scholar just,
Yeah. Because we linked it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I did save. Save.
Yeah.
Done.
Did they not tell you?
No, I mean, no.
Oh.
You say save, no?
Yeah.
And then?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
done.
So,
Done.
yeah.
Okay,
So if you go to my library now, there's a little star there.
that's it.
There it is.
Ah, cool.
And what you can do is set up folders.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a folder for my module, a folder for your other module, save them into the different modules. So you could have gone straight to the library and you could have searched straight in the library, but you're all just much more comfortable using Google. We can use all of those searching, sifting techniques, but go straight to it. Right, one more thing and then we'll stop for lunch. So, it's a random thing. I've just clicked on a random thing. Elsevier, good publisher. Yeah? Elsevier, Sage, there's a number of good publishers. Science Direct, they're okay. International Journal, sounds all right. Journal homepage. Right, so, the next thing we want to know, oh, that looks interesting. I went to the Chanel exhibition at the V&A at least 4 times. It was brilliant.
Next time, maybe.
It's just brilliant. Right, so the next thing we want to know is, so I'm going to go all the way to the end. Oh, I like this article. That looks really interesting. Right, all the way down. Alright. So, bias. We've talked about bias. The authors declare they have no known competing financial interests or personal relationships that could have appeared to influence the work reported in this paper. So they weren't paid by somebody to do this. Now, if, for example, Nestle paid for research into baby food, would we be happy about that?
Maybe
They produce
no.
baby food. So, you have to think about who is paying for the research,
Biased.
because there may be biases in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we know who has written it, and then sometimes it will tell you here if it's peer reviewed. It's not. Right, so we want to know if it's peer reviewed. I wish I could tell you there is one way to do this. There isn't. There's about 20 ways to do this. But the first thing we'll do is we'll go to the journal homepage. So it's International Journal of Information Management Data Insights. Here we go. Okay, so this is an easy one.
So it's peer review.
So the journal is peer reviewed. So we can be happy that that piece of research published in this journal is peer reviewed because we can see on their front page it's peer reviewed. That doesn't cover letters or opinion of pieces. So just bear that in mind. It's not always that easy. Sometimes you have to really dig about in trying to find out where things are. The one other thing I was going to show you is go back to Google Scholar. Right, so we've got the full text app. That's the first thing. You can save it in your library. Oh no, actually I'll show you about RefWorks another time. Alright, any questions about what we've done this morning? We're going to do some searching practice this afternoon.
Yes.
So it's going to give you a chance to think about what is it you're interested in, how you're going to find the stuff, how you're going to check if it's peer reviewed, what you're going to do. Okay?
Yes.
So the other room at 2 o'clock, please.